Hello, my friends. Welcome to another multidimensional human podcast. I am your host, Rachel Archelaus, and I'm creating an institute, and the Institute of Multidimensional Living. And it's something that I'm very, very excited about, something that has been in the works now for how many years? Three years. And it's really not until I graduated that I realized, oh, it's now, it's time. And I'm going to tell you all about it. I'm going to tell you how this began. I'm going to tell you why I'm creating an institute, what we are focusing on, what offerings we're going to have, how we are planning to welcome you in, and why this is going to hopefully make your life better. If you're listening to this, then you're obviously interested in at least something that I talk about. Maybe it's the neurodivergence, maybe it's expression, maybe it's intuition, maybe you feel like a multidimensional human, maybe you just like my voice. I don't know. But at any rate, you're going to get all of those things in this institute, and I'm overjoyed. I'm so overjoyed that it's here. So let me tell you how it started because it is so fitting. First of all, I'm psychic, as you know, and I often know things sort of ahead of time, right? There's no linear time in reality. We experience time as a sort of linear thing here on this planet, and that's pretty cool. It gives us memories that we can look back on, and our life seems to keep moving forward, but in reality, everything's happening all at one time. I don't understand it. I don't have to understand it, but I get the effects of that. So I often will know years in advance what is going to happen. And this institute, I feel like I pulled it out of the ethers, and it was a really cool experience. So 3 years ago, I found a house that I wanted to buy in Connecticut. And I didn't just, have the money for the house. So I was like doing all these things to try to kind of force the process, I'll admit. I loved it so much. I flew out to Connecticut to look at it. I toured it. I made a whole big, I videoed the whole thing. And I was like, there has to be a way that I can get this house. This is my house. I love it so much. It's meant to be. And so I tried my damnedest to manifest this house. My partner wasn't so convinced, which is why we didn't just go ahead and buy it. He wasn't totally on board because it was a fixer-upper for sure. But the bones of it were so cool. I'm still obsessed with this house. But anyway, I was so wrapped up in it, so excited about it that I thought, all right, what could I do to have this? And the institute came into my mind. And that institute was going to have its headquarters at this house, and we were going to have a garden you could visit and relax in and meditate in and maybe even camp in. The house had a guest house that we could have people come and do retreats and stay there. There was a huge second living room for meeting and workshops and stuff. There was even a separate garage that I could have made into some kind of art studio with accommodations above. So it had so much potential. And this institute was I pulled it out of the clouds, and that's how it felt. It didn't feel like I was ready for it, to be honest, but it felt like my excitement could get us there. And so we made a logo, we gave it a title. I did this whole outline of how we could do fundraising for it, and it was a huge thing. We got a lot done on it. I made the mission statement, the manifesto, all of these things. It was really cool. It was a fun time. It was really fun to be that excited. And then I don't know, it just kind of died. It didn't leave me completely, but I just felt after a time all right, it's not going to work out. I'm not going to push it. And so I put it on the back burner. And as things go with me, usually I'm not a time waster, if I put that much effort into something, it's going to come back around again. So I kind of just, I didn't think it as a failure. I just knew now's not the time. So I then, a year later, went to grad school. And that was a journey all on its own. And I really hadn't thought far ahead after what I wanted to do. I graduated last month. Yeah, the beginning of last month. Crazy. That's only been a month and like 2 weeks. And I was thinking, well, do I want to get a job? Do I want to be a psychology instructor? Do I want to do research? And I was like, I kind of want to do all those things. But, if I want to do research for someone else, then I have to be on board with the project that they're doing. And it's really difficult to do that remotely. And in my general area, we don't even have a psychology department, like a graduate psychology department in any of the universities in my state. So there's not much research that I could do that would be interesting to me. So what do you know? What do I got to do? I got to do research on my own if I want to do it. In order to do research on your own, there are federal rules. To do human subjects research, even like if you're going to write a paper on it anyway, even like a survey or case studies, you have to comply with human subjects federal regulations, which means you have to submit your proposal to an internal review board. And you need a sponsor for that. And you can either partner with a university or another institute, or you can be an institute. And so I just thought it was so funny that like weighing out all my options, knowing what I want to do. Because I went into that grad program specifically for the research part of it. And that's why I picked that program, because it was research heavy. So I knew I wanted to do research coming out. I just didn't realize like I would have to be an institute in order to do it. So there is tick number one. So we already had the institute bones and outlines and logo and all that stuff. So it's really easy for me now to convert my website to that. It also solves the problem of I like doing a lot of different things, right? I have this podcast. I like talking about being extrasensory, being neurodivergent. I like creating art. I like talking to people. I like interviewing them. I like writing books. So there's so many things I like to do. It's always been really hard for me to have a business and just focus on one thing, like Intuitive Art Academy, right? In the last few years of that, it was very difficult for me. I felt like I was very burnt out on that. And now it can live happily inside the Institute because I still do intuitive art every day. It was just the business part of it that was difficult. So now that I know how I like to work, I don't want to work full time. I don't want to work every single day. I probably will have an uneven productivity, which a lot of autistic people have, where you create a whole bunch of stuff and then you take a break for a while. I can do all of that because I'm creating my own thing and I'm setting up my expectations ahead of time. So not only do I need an institute in order to do the research I want to do, I also need my own company that is broad enough to contain all the things I like to do with the flexibility that I need because I am all of those things. So, y'all, this is great. I'm so excited. So I have some notes here. I have to tell you like the major projects that we're going to be working on. What is the Institute of Multidimensional Living? And why am I calling it that? Multidimensional is a word that's actually gained popularity over the last few years. Makeup brands use it to talk about like iridescence. Sorry about that. I don't know if you can see in here. There's like a little bit of shimmer. They would probably call that multidimensional, even though it's an interesting use of the word. People are talking about Pinot's traits as multidimensional. But I like it for all of those reasons. I love sparkle. I love a person who has, is multifaceted. But I also take it in my, the literal meaning of multiple dimensions, right? Like multiple dimensions of everything, but also scientifically of the actual dimension that we live in, fourth, fifth dimension, leaving the third dimension. So it really does fit. And if you look back on my entire career as a, entrepreneur, I've always had the focus of helping people live a happier life, right? Be more true to yourself and just more fulfilled, more fully expressed. And I feel like multidimensional living really says that too. So we are going to do science, and we're also going to move outside of science where we haven't yet had science, right? So like in class, sometimes my ideas would get the pseudoscience label. But pseudoscience, again, I know I've talked about this, but it just means that we don't have a way to measure it yet. It doesn't mean that it's wrong. It doesn't mean that it's been disproven. It doesn't mean that it has no place in our world. It does, so I really want to celebrate and be inclusive of these ideas that, maybe we're going to think differently about them in 10, 20, 50 years. But for right now, there are major groups of people who have everyday experiences that are considered pseudoscience, right? Like according to textbooks, I shouldn't even exist, right? I haven't ever talked to a dead person or an alien, or, I don't have psychic experiences, right? According to science. So that's just not the case, right? We just don't know how to accurately measure that yet, and that's totally fine. It's not that that's my life mission to prove that we are real. Obviously, we're real. My real life's mission is to just be curious, and I have so many questions, right? Like the biggest question I have really is, are we the new human? Like this intersection between being extrasensory, so having a higher sensory threshold, having more sensory experiences, processing more senses, so like psychic stuff, that is higher in people who are autistic. And it could possibly be for ADHD people. I don't know, though. I've just seen the studies about people who are autistic having more, what do they call it? I don't even remember what they call it, but having more extrasensory experiences, having more paranormal experiences is I think what they say. And that's pretty cool, all right? There's a reason for that. It would make sense because we are processing more of the world, and that's been proven over and over and over and over again. Of course, we're going to pick up more paranormal stuff because it's there to be picked up on, right? And there's also another dimension, which that's really, of course I want to learn more about myself, but also the millions of people that are also like me. But then there's this part about being queer. So autistic people are like 65% plus more likely to be queer as well in some way. Gender queer, sexually queer, lots of different queers. That's a cool overlap. And so when you think about that, maybe on a more higher dimensional level, right, the soul or our extended energy, we'll say, it doesn't have gender, right? It doesn't also, I don't think that our energy doesn't sexually reproduce either. So if we're more in tune with that, if we're more sensitive to that, then that can trickle down into our personality self, and we will be queer and neurodivergent and extrasensory. And so I love that intersection. And Dr. Nick Walker already coined the term many, many years ago, neuroqueer, for that queer and neurodivergent intersection, but I'm bringing in the extrasensory part as well. So there are people who have already started doing part of this work, and I just feel like I love it. This is so enlivening to me, and that's when I know I'm on the right track. It also doesn't feel too big anymore, and I think that's because I went through this graduate program where I learned how to do what I want to do. I learned how to do statistics and how to write papers and how to do research proposals, and how to do research. I did a research project, a full research project that I wrote up and everything on the effect of mindfulness meditation on full-time working adults. That was the first piece of research that I did on my own, and that is so exciting. The proposal that I have completed now is on, can intuitive art help autistic people with alexithymia? So can intuitive art, that process, help people identify their emotions? Because people with alexithymia can't identify or have a hard time identifying how they feel, which can cause all kinds of problems. And to be honest, another reason for the Institute, why not just do it under my name and get a sponsor, is because research is very expensive. So I know I said that in order to do research, you need an internal review board, sign off, IRB approval, and that alone, even for it's called an exempt study where it's very low risk, so let's just say a survey, that is $3,000 if I have to get that. So having an institute, having a way to do fundraising, having a way to have a more professional name, get more people's interest, that is important, because paying for these studies and adding to the general knowledge of the world is very expensive. And that's just the internal review board approval. To publish that study costs anywhere between $500 and $10,000. I don't know why science is so expensive, but it is. So, and that's not even the actual study costs. So my time, if I have to pay other people, because there's a lot that has to go into studies. Even if you're doing it on your own, it's often really helpful to have other people code the stuff that you're doing, because there's a lot of researcher bias, and I mean, you just can't really get away from that. So it's writing a book. So if I was going to just write a book just from, my own experience, the things I've learned, maybe talking to a few people, I can do that with less money, less input, even though it's definitely not free, because you still need an editor, you still need to do all these other things. But publishing a study costs tens of thousands of dollars sometimes. It at least costs $5,000. So anyway, having an institute will really help with that, help us defray the cost. We can do really fun fundraising things. I already have an idea that will take way too much time, but I'm so excited about having a yearly quilt fundraiser where I have a quilt design that I'm gonna make, and you can purchase that design or sponsor it for a certain number of dollars. And that way I can combine my quilting with my institute work, and it will just be so much fun. So we are not going to be a nonprofit, at least not at first though, because that in itself is just more money, more lawyers, more setup, more it's just the bureaucracy, the paperwork, the taxes. It's all very complicated, and I'm at this point still doing this on my own. So for now, we are not a nonprofit, which means you can donate to us, but it won't be tax deductible. And that's why we're going to offer you things for it, right? You could definitely donate for nothing just to add to our cause and feel good about that. But we're also going to be offering workshops and sessions. And like I said, if we offer fundraisers, you'll get something in return if you want something. Yeah, if you can't tell, I'm very excited. So what else? So what do we want to focus on other than that intersection? And really just celebrate you, right? I don't know how many times I've heard from people who, whether it's about their just plain old creativity or their intuition, that they were just tamped down as a kid and told to, don't focus on that, or that's bad, or you know what I mean? I'm not doing this to counteract that per se. But I'm doing this because you are freaking awesome. You're incredible. And the way forward in this world, I feel, is to embrace that. We are, so like one of the mantras for this year from the reading I did at the beginning of the year was that the truth is invisible. The truth is invisible. And, oh, right, I was just looking at this reading the other day because Carrie and I were talking about it. And I forgot about that. I forgot that the truth was invisible because I was holding up the drawing and I forgot that there was white in it, but now I can see it. Now I can see it. The truth is invisible. And as you know, watching the news, two different groups of people are saying opposite things, right? And so you need to use your heart, your intuition to decide what's true. And so we need our extrasensory switched on. We need the intuition connected to us. We need our heart turned on. And to be frank, if you are neurodivergent and you have limited capacity, you need AI. As much as I hate to admit that, AI makes things easier. And I do my best to use it responsibly. I know how much electricity and infrastructure it takes. And so just like with a plane trip, I'm not just on a plane every single day using up all that carbon. I am only traveling when I feel it's necessary for me. And I only use AI when it's important, when it's something useful. I don't just, spend all day on it just chatting with it, which if that is what you are using it for, and if that's important to you, then that's for you. But yeah, AI and IA, I've always said, intuitive art and artificial intelligence. Which brings me to one of the things that we are going to focus on, which I've been working on a book called You Don't Have to Work for a couple years now, ever since my aligned income class. And it has grown. So you don't have to work. Leverage your intuition, leverage artificial intelligence, and you really have an easier time in the world, right? Capacity issues, not that big a deal because you can get a lot done for you. Intuition can steer you in the most efficient direction for you and set you along the path of allowing whatever you need to live, to take care of yourself, to live well. So I'm very passionate about You Don't Have to Work, which is going to be an institute release, which is so exciting. And we'll also have the aligned income course for you to go through. What else? Yeah, I've already told you about the studies that we're working on and that we've concluded. I'll be writing stuff up about that, I'm sure. And just this idea of the new human. Are we the new human? How could we not be? We're so cool. So the world is crazy right now, and this is my answer. My answer to how can I give back? How can I show up? I can show up in my joy. And what is my joy? It's this. So I'm so excited. You were along with me when I had to shut down my Intuitive Art Academy. And it's funny because there were so many factors that went into it. But all in all, it was just an intuitive feeling. I knew I needed to just shut the doors for a while. I knew I'd come back. I knew it wasn't forever, but I knew that I needed some time and space. And I did, I really did, because we needed this new container, this bigger container. We needed to think about bigger things, and intuitive art now is going to be a part of this. You'll be able to, in fact, the first course I'm releasing is the Soul Focus Method, which has helped me come to this. I never, ever, ever release things that I don't agree with and that I don't believe in fully, which is why you cannot get most of my courses right now, because I haven't finished that evaluation. But I wanted to go through the Soul Focus Method because it was always one of our best-selling courses. People loved it. I've been talking about it for years and years and years, and it hasn't been available in a long time. It was not in, it wasn't even in my Simplero portal, which I've had for the last 7-8 years or something. So it's been a long time shut down. So I wanted to go through it. And the first class is all about really just figuring out what you want. And I have you write down a list of everything that you want, and then when you think you're done, just do a little bit more. And then I help you go through the list with your intuition to just cross off things that aren't really aligned, that aren't really for now, or that maybe come from, an egoic place of you just think you should want that, but you really don't want that. So this is just me telling you that sometimes things happen for reasons you're not aware of yet, and that is just trust yourself. Get to a place where you can trust yourself. And for me, the soul focus method helps me with that. And also, your stuff is coming. Your stuff is coming. The stuff you've asked for is coming. The things you want to do are coming. For me, this idea was so huge in the beginning, and now it doesn't feel huge. It feels right here, right now, right in my heart, and I'm ready to go. It's such a good feeling to have this be so ready. So we are planning to launch in 1 month, actually 1 month from today, on August 11th, but we're already in process. So I've already switched the domain from my website. I already switched the logo. I'm already starting to add in the new stuff that we're doing. So nothing's shut down. You can go and you'll just see the various pieces coming together. But I will announce on the 11th that we're open, what we have, and everything. So, very excited. We will have a membership, I will tell you that, and it will include a monthly Q&A with me and Intimate Alien. So for 90 minutes each month, show up, we can chat, you can ask me or Intimate Alien, because I'll be dressed as Intimate Alien and ready to go. And that will be sort of like taking the place of my old group coaching. We're not going to do a whole group coaching thing, but that 90-minute Q&A per month will be basically a combination of the coaching calls that I used to do. And each month I'm also offering a sensory accommodation workshop. And if you're not in the neurodivergent space, that might not make sense. Basically, in lay terms, how to make your life easier, how to accommodate your actual capacity, your actual needs, how to think about your sensory needs and preferences beforehand and set your life up for better success. Those workshops are going to offer different ways for you to feel more comfortable in your skin, to enjoy this planet more, to have a more effective, efficient life. And doing those things has really transformed my ability to be happy and to do what I want. And I'm hoping it will do the same for you. So a monthly Q&A and a monthly workshop, and we'll offer those few courses for sale. And I will be offering sessions. So just like now, you can go to Archelaus.com and book a session with me. That will be the same. It will be the same price. And I'm also going to start offering a lower cost session for parents and adults who are neurodivergent or extrasensory or whatever you identify as, but helping you with those sensory needs. So a one-on-one session for helping you just make your life easier or understand your child's behavior. It's one of the things I'm really passionate about, is helping parents understand their neurodivergent kid. Or you can brainstorm with me if you think your kid might be neurodivergent. I cannot provide a diagnosis, but I can steer you in the direction of whether I think you should get a diagnosis or seek that out, because I have a lot of experience with, obviously my whole graduate degree is in child and developmental psychology, and I focused on neurodivergence. So I have a lot of experience there in reading about it, but I also have a lot of experience in being autistic and ADHD and being around people like that my whole life and working with children who are also on the spectrum. So I'll go into further detail later. I could talk about that forever. So what do you think? Are you excited? Are you excited to join us? Are you excited to learn more about yourself, perhaps, about being on this journey? We're not just going to be like dry scientific from now on. The tone is going to be the same. We're just going to offer more of all of this, just more of all of this. And I will be conducting studies and writing about them and making shows about them and videos. You know, you can read the scientific paper if we manage to get those published, which would be awesome. But I'll also just talk about them and what we learn and how we're adding to the knowledge of the world. So freaking cool. So thanks for being a part of this. Let me know what you think about this if you're excited like me, and I will keep you informed. I'm going to keep you updated on all this stuff, so make sure you follow me on Instagram and YouTube. And if you're here, please rate us, please subscribe, please hit the like button. We love all of that. It's really helpful and I really appreciate it. So lots and lots and lots of love, and I will talk to you very soon. Bye.